This week on Socratic Cinema. Dad, of course you're dad.
James
Oh my
acted like he knows Japanese.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, listen, I just know it's not Kokichi. All right? Like, we're in the far-off kingdom of Fantasia, and the evil wizard rules the land, and right? It's like, that's harder for me to get into.
Except Princess Mononoke is your favorite Ghibli film.
Except Princess
Yeah.
I had to read Where the Red Fern Grows. That was my sad
That's
book.
yikers.
That's a sad one. We should do
And
a
you forgot
dog
about
month.
the casual racism in it, too.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kasey Clark.
I'm Charlie Heatherly.
And I'm good old James DeLisio.
And welcome back to another episode of Socratic Cinema. Woo, woo,
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah.
And before we jump into this week's festivities, it's the first of the month. So we have some patrons to thank. So sending out warm and loving thanks to John DeLisio, Rachel DeLisio, Lisa DeLisio, Samuel Copeland, Jeanette Clark, Heather and Michael Clark, Mariah Helm, Peter DeLisio, Roger Anderson, Hizzy Hay, Christopher Heatherly, Salvador Reyes, and SkullHammerSmash. Thank you all for supporting us. And if you, dear viewer, want to get a personal shout out, you should become a patron. And you should stick along for the ride to hear how to in our spiel zone. But this week, we are jumping into one of our famed Ghiblinity stones. We're knocking them off one by one, and it's been a long time since we've tackled one of these.
It's almost been a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah, it's almost been a year. You know, we've been fighting off Thanos and stuff. We've been traveling the galaxy, trying to find these Ghiblinity stones. But if you don't know what a Ghiblinity stone is, here is a little bit of Socratic lore. So here at Socratic, we watch Ghibli movies. And because there's so many of them and they're so treasured and we all really, really tend to enjoy them, we've named them Ghiblinity stones. And we've been on a mission since our what season? First season?
That was like episode 4.
First season, episode 4, to collect and watch all of them. So here we are with a Ghiblinity stone for season 5. That Ghiblinity stone being Ponyo.
Ponyo.
Yes. So with that being said, let's jump into our initial thoughts. James, how did you feel about Ponyo?
Boy, let me tell you how much I love Ponyo. Now for the record, I feel like Ponyo, it's not like extraordinary Ghibli, but even ordinary Ghibli is like better than most, right? I still need to train myself to say Ghibli, but you know what I mean? Like an average Ghibli movie is an above average movie still, right? Like the median is just higher. And so I loved Ponyo. I think visually it might be my favorite Ghibli movie. I love the like watercolor backgrounds and just the creature designs, and I really like the world they've created here. I'm a very big fan of all the designs, so I think visually it's probably my favorite. I hadn't seen it in a while. I saw this one. This was my first Studio Ghibli movie, actually. No, that's a lie. But I did see this one in theaters when I was little. I think my first was Totoro when I was even smaller. But it's just a cute, charming movie. I think it really captures. It strikes a really great balance, I think, between sort of the magical elements of Ghibli with that like very human core, with the relationship between Sosuke and his mom and the father Koichi. And it's just got that perfect blend of real and magic that you come to love from Ghibli. Definitely more grounded than stuff like Howl's Moving Castle. And I tend to prefer the more grounded Ghibli films. Like I'm not crazy about Howl's Moving Castle. Just because I like. I know. Listen,
That's a good take, James. Finally,
yeah,
somebody says it.
Right? Like I just don't. I don't know. I like the more the ones that are a little more grounded in reality. I also think Ponyo is one of the more plot-driven Ghibli films. It doesn't have that sort of like meandery energy of something like Totoro or Howl's Moving Castle, which is also very kind of stuff just happens. But overall, I think Ponyo is a delightful watch. Definitely in the upper echelon of Studio Ghibli for me, and I'm a big fan. But like I want to just give every Ghibli movie like a 10 out of 10. But I would probably give Ponyo like a 7.5. Like it's just a strong like
I want to give every movie a 10 out of 10 because they're so good, but I'll give this one 2.5 points less.
No, it gets like a listen. Ponyo is like it's like a firm. The 7.5 is like a firm thumbs up. Like, yeah, that was good. I've also noticed getting Letterboxd has forced me to confront that I rate every movie so highly. Like
Yeah.
like the my bell curve is shifted over where that the peak is like a 4 out of 5. I like movies. Anyways, so that's my Ponyo thoughts.
Wow. You
Wow.
stole all of my takes for Ponyo. That's well, okay. Actually,
try Charlie.
The takes goblin.
I got a couple different with the takes goblin. Takes your takes. But I got a couple different ones. So, Ponyo, right? I think it was my first Studio Ghibli film. Because I don't think I saw any before I saw Ponyo in theaters, and then I only started watching them later. Like Spirited Away was my second.
Wait, like our Spirited Away episode was your second?
No. I saw Spirited Away before that.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw Spirited Away because I had a crush on a girl, and she really liked Ghibli, so I watched Ghibli. That's some Charlie lore we don't need. But Ponyo. So Ponyo, I think, is a really, really good film because of how closely it stays to its plot, how intimate it is, and just how it has this very special Ghibli flair to it. I think James said it very well when he said the watercolor style and the creature designs being like forces of nature. Like you see that in a lot of different Ghibli films, but here it's really, really pronounced, and I think that they really tune it to a fine point. I especially like in the very opening of the film. I mean, I guess it's like probably scene 2 where what's the kid's name? Sasuke. I am also bad at pronouncing Japanese names.
I was gonna say it's not the guy from Naruto. It's Sosuke.
Sosuke. All right. Okay. Sosuke. So when he's going and picking up Ponyo for the first time, you see that the land and the grass aren't moving. Like everything on the land is static. And it's only once the ocean, which has been constantly moving this entire time, starts blowing and the waves start picking up, do you see the grass start to blow? And do you see things start to move on the land? So it's like down to that level of detail that Ponyo really gets. And I super appreciate it. The best score of any Ghibli film. I'm just gonna say,
wow, that's a rip roaring take. Wow,
I love the score in this movie. That doesn't mean that the other scores for other Ghibli films are bad by any means. I love the scores in every Ghibli film. This one, I think, in particular, like especially the theme that they have for the moon when it's getting close is so whimsical and dark and wild. I just love it. But the hottest take that I have for this movie it is the exact middle point between Princess Mononoke and My Neighbor Totoro. It has like a little bit of sci-fi in it to where it gets away from My Neighbor Totoro's like almost full-on like natureiness. But it's not sci-fi / fantasy enough to where you get like all this insane world building that Princess Mononoke has. So it's right in the middle, and it's a really fun place to be because I think it takes elements of both of those movies and it stirs it together in this little Ghibli pot into something that's really enjoyable. So James said he wants to give every Ghibli movie a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to do it. I think Ponyo's a 10 out of 10, and it is my second favorite Ghibli film.
Second favorite, really?
Wow.
Princess Mononoke.
I don't know if this one scratches top 3 for me, but we can talk about that later in the episode. But it's still, this is probably, if not top 3, then top 5.
Wow.
Well, I'm a Ponyo boy. Listen,
Ponyo
what
boy.
do you think, Kasey?
Well, first off, I would like to say to our viewers that at this time, James does have a Ponyo poster in his dorm.
I do. Yeah, so, I do have a Ponyo poster.
So he is indeed a Ponyo boy. It's been confirmed. I don't know. I feel like I enjoyed the movie to a base point, but I don't think it's one of like Ghibli's best works for me personally. And I know. And you know what? I'm gonna be a bit controversial. I feel like in comparison to other Ghibli films, like it's very like on the nose with what it's trying to say. And I like to do a little bit of digging, you know? Like I like to see like, okay, well, oh, it's showing this. What does that mean? And it usually always goes back to environmentalism, but because you're dealing with like the ocean environmentalism and like littering and pollution, it's very, very like prominent in the ocean, but it's also very, very explicit and clear in the ocean. Like you're going in the ocean, you see trash and muck and all that stuff. So it's not like reefs are dying. I wonder why reefs are dying. Like it wasn't like that. It was very like, there's trash in the ocean. Karichi? I feel like I'm saying his name wrong.
Who?
The dad.
Liam Neeson?
Wasn't his name like... No, wait. Kasey, who are you talking? The dad is Fujimoto.
No. Oh, wait. Fujimoto. Okay, sorry. Fujimoto.
The Ponyo's dad?
Is that C Dad?
Yeah, C Dad.
C Dad.
Koichi.
Koichi, yeah, Magic Dad, Sorcerer Dad.
James acted like he knows Japanese.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, listen, I just know it's not Kokichi. All right?
Koichi. And we get like Koichi, and I feel like they did a very good job of being like, oh, he was a human, and that's why he distrusts humans.
Now you're talking about Fujimoto.
What? I said Sorcerer Dad.
No,
okay. In my defense, I watched this very like sick-brained, and I didn't take notes, so it's a bit of a struggle for me. So Fujimoto, the Sorcerer Dad. I'm just gonna say Sorcerer Dad and Boat Dad. Okay, so Sorcerer Dad. LOL. So Sorcerer Dad being very, very anxious. I liked the arc of Sorcerer Dad. And overall, I did like the movie. I just felt like it was a little like, okay, this is more Pretty Little Mermaid. But I'd watch this over Little Mermaid, you know?
True.
And yeah, I think that kind of wraps up what I'm just gonna stop talking.
We're gonna say true.
Yeah, out of 10? Out of 10, what would you...
I'll give it a 7. Yeah.
A 7. Interesting. Kasey, the lowest rating is kind of a rare event.
I know. It's happening, guys.
I think Kasey just hates animated films. Let's remember Turning Red.
Let's remember Turning Red. Wait, okay, but would you watch this over Luca is the question.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I would. Well, I really like Luca too.
I really like Luca.
You guys are crazy. You're insane. What? Luca, you think Luca is more enjoyable than Ponyo?
No, I'm just, that's not what I asked.
That's not what I asked. Don't put words into my mouth.
No, but yeah, no. I remember, do you remember in our Luca episode, the primary take was that Luca feels like a Studio Ghibli film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. No, but here's my question for you guys. My opening question is, so what are your top 3 Ghibli movies? Let's just set this all straight. Charlie, what are your top 3?
I'm gonna start using that question as a question to gauge if I should go out with somebody. I'll ask them their favorite.
That's a great, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, top 3. I've already said my top 2. So Princess Mononoke, Ponyo. Okay, here's a crazy hot take that I'm about to drop.
Okay.
The more I watch other Studio Ghibli films that are not Spirited Away, the more I realize that Spirited Away is not their best film.
Oh.
No, I love Spirited Away. Again, I want to give every Ghibli movie a 10 out of 10, but I don't think it's their best film. So 3 for me is going to be Totoro. And granted, yeah, it's a base take. I've only seen the Ghibli movies that we have talked about on the podcast. So you can go back and see literally, I've
same
seen
here.
No other Ghibli films. I've never seen Porco Rosso. I've never seen Up for Poppy Hill.
This is a strong message.
Yeah, so I'm open to changing this list. This is not set in stone by any means, but right now, Totoro is 3, 2 is Ponyo, and 1's Princess Mononoke.
Kasey.
You know what? I have a similar take. For me, number 1 is definitely Princess Mononoke. Number 2 would probably be Howls, and then number 3 is Spirited Away.
Fascinating.
How about you, James?
I would say my number one is also Princess Mononoke.
Yep.
So we all agree there.
Great
Nice.
taste.
My number two is Kiki's Delivery Service. Because
Maybe. Sure.
listen, yeah, that's one we're gonna have to watch. I really like Kiki's Delivery Service because it's a character study about a girl who has burnout and depression, and I really like it.
Dang.
And then number three is Porco Rosso, just because it's very fun and I like airplanes, and that's a cute one. And that's my list. We're gonna have to get to Porco Rosso and Kiki's
Yeah.
eventually. I mean, we're gonna have to get to all of them eventually, right? Boy, I can't wait till we get to Poppy Hill and Nausicaa.
Yeah, we don't need to really get to Red Turtle though, or Wig and the Witch.
Okay, all right. We're doing the yeah. We'll skip your Wig and the Witch. We're gonna be like 30, still like tracking down the last few ones. But where do we open Ponyo talk? I think let's investigate more, Kasey. You felt it was too on the nose, like with its theming.
Yes, I did. I feel like like kind of what I was saying before, where okay, let's look at comparison like with our favorite movie, Princess Mononoke. Like we have we have conflict, so we get like, okay, it's very anti-war, so we get that kind of out the gate. But then we go deeper into like the conflict within the like spiritual world versus the humans, and it's kind of about like, it goes into how urbanization is an issue, and how like it's going into like, it's taking land away, it's killing all of these like spirits for the benefit of the humans to grow and expand. That's not as on the nose as, let's have a tracking shot of the sea magic dad being like, oh, these darn humans with their muck and they're horrible, they're gonna kill the planet, as like he's like going through the water, and they're doing like the tracking shot of the like boat picking up all of
the trawling and
the trawling, or the main, like one of the main characters who is directly connected to the ocean gets stuck in a bottle, a pollution bottle. Oh no, that's obviously bad.
Pollution bottle.
Like a pollution bottle. You know, like that's what I mean, where it's like, it's a bit on the nose, where like I like it where you have to like, I could have gotten the message of the movie within the first like 20 minutes of it, versus in Princess Mononoke, like you have to really like sit and watch it all the way through.
I guess I don't know if I think, all right, I don't know if I agree with that. Like I think Princess Mononoke's themes are more they're more like mature, maybe, because that's a film for a more mature audience. Like I think obviously Ponyo is one of those ones that's geared towards a younger audience. But I mean, it's pretty on the nose about like, yeah, urbanization bad. Like, let's look at the big polluted Iron Fortress village where the bad guy is. And it's like, yeah, pollution bad. Like it's the same thing, just different shape in my honest opinion. So I mean, I think it would be like, we shouldn't conflate maturity with simplicity, perhaps. Like I think both,
well, maybe
both,
not.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the better way to say it is that it's just watered down.
Yes, I would agree that Ponyo, to me, that's a great way I would put it, is in all aspects. I feel like it is it's like
Bad
distilled watered down. It's distilled Ghibli. Like the art style. No, in a good way. For me, I mean that as a compliment. Like I think the art style is very, very refined. Like all the designs, all the character designs are very simple, made of like a few primary colors and like very basic shapes. I think the soundtrack is similarly sort of distilled, like a lot of stripped back instrumentation, like just piano or just like piano and some other instruments. And I think the plot too is very simplified. Only a handful of characters that really matter. very simple plot conflict. But I feel like all that simplicity lends itself to the film in a very charming way. Like I think it doesn't have anything more than it needs to have. So to me, its simplicity is sort of a win. It's vibes for sure, as the kids would say.
I agree with that, but I think that there's more depth to Ponyo than we're letting on. I think that, and it's hard for us to understand it. I think like I won't give the best take on this because I don't really know. But this movie is also about natural disasters and tsunamis and how continuations.
True.
In America, we don't deal with tsunamis. That's like not a thing. And, you know, New York will sometimes deal with a hurricane, but it's different than how a tsunami affects a community. In Japan, like tsunamis are a threat that have caused multiple like mass problem events. I don't know the word for it. Like
calamities.
Calamities. Yeah. Bad things have happened because of tsunamis. And this movie is really hopeful in that it talks about how a community can positively respond to a tsunami or a similar natural disaster, and how kids can become mature in the face of a lot of conflict and really step up and prove themselves. Weirdly enough, it reminds me of the new Netflix show that just got released. Or
yes,
I mean, not just released,
bring it
they
up.
just put it on Netflix. But it's this show where these little Japanese kids are forced to do like adult chores and tasks, and they have to do it all by themselves.
Wait, what show is
Old
this?
Enough.
That sounds
Old
delightful.
Enough. Yeah, it's been
so
running for
fun.
a long time in Japan, but they just put it on American Netflix, I think. But like, it's, from what I understand, very delightful. I really, really want to watch it with my friends, so I've been saving myself from seeing it. But it looks delightful, and I think it strikes a similar note of like, these kids who we always think are so innocent and so helpless actually have a lot of maturity. And I think Sasuke,
yeah, just whatever.
My boy, I'm gonna call him my boy.
Yeah, homeboy.
My boy really embodies that. I mean, from the very start of the film, he feels a responsibility to take care of Ponyo, even though she is but a wee goldfish.
I like how he called her. Just slight aside, she has a whole face, and he's like, goldfish.
Yeah, maybe the kids are dumb.
Right.
Well, so
yeah.
I also thought it was that he could only see it because he's the kid, because he has that with the waves. Like, he could only see the waves as fish because he's a kid and he has that view. So I thought that he could only see Ponyo as like having a face because like he has that whimsical view. But then the grandma was like, that thing has a face, kill it, hurt it.
I do think
moment.
I do think that's fair though. There's like a sort of a running theme of like in all the Ghibli films, it's like the adults are too busy in their own world, and the kids are the ones who are able to like connect with the environment more. Like I think that was a big thing in Totoro, especially where it's like the dad never sees the spirits, the forest spirits, but the kids do. I think like an empowerment of youth is a big like theme in a lot of the Ghibli films, and I think it's super on display here. So I'm with you there, Charlie.
Yeah, empowerment of youth, and then also there's marital problems in this movie that you gotta love. That's super fun.
Oh yeah,
that to me is like the heartbeat of this movie. Like the scene of Lisa and Koichi, and they're like not signing, but like Morse coding,
Yeah.
and she's all like upset and doesn't want to talk to him. Like that to me is like one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. Like it's just so. It's one of those scenes where watching it, you just have to like audibly be like, oh, you know?
Well, and it's perfectly mirrored by everything else that's going on in the narrative, right? Like this family is in a very tumultuous time, and you know, tensions are beginning to flood over, and then the land floods over.
Over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is
Big
amazing.
one.
Can someone do in the comments like a count of how many water puns we do, please?
Oh, it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
Whoever
An
gets the
overflow,
correct
you might
amount
say?
wins a personal lunch with me.
Oh boy.
Yeah. a real reward. You pay.
You pay. You treat me.
Charlie pulls out a calculator and starts like calculating. It's like, all right, so it's $12.99.
Yeah, I'll just tell you the number at the end so that somebody can guess it and I can just get a free lunch. But the final awesome thing in this movie is that Ponyo, the movie, is pro breastfeeding, which is a crazy thing that I was not expecting.
I mean, it's not.
I sort of love it. Sort of love it.
Yeah, no, that scene's another great one too. I like Ponyo interacting with the youth, with the kids.
Yeah,
it's good for the kids. Good for the community.
Why do we all go into the old like Italian New Yorker grandfather accent?
But that whole like, I think that seeing the community response to the flood is totally hand in hand with what you were saying about a big thing in the movie is like natural disaster response, and I think that's also a thing that I see in a lot of like Japanese animated film is like and just Japanese film in general is like reacting to natural disaster because it's such a big like cultural thing over there, right? It's like I'm trying to think of more examples.
Great Kanto earthquake.
Right. Well, like Godzilla's nuclear, but you know, Akira is also nuclear, but like Weathering with You, but yada yada yada. It's like a thing. It's a big thing. I think Your Name even is like a natural disaster movie. But I just think Ponyo does it in a way that's so like pure, and sure it's on the nose, but I don't really care.
I love things that are on the nose.
Sometimes it's nice to just, I don't know. You know, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go, James.
I was gonna segue us into a different.
Then
opinion.
let me quickly drop a little tiny take. I really like things that are super on the nose. My favorite thing in a film is when somebody is arguing and there's a pot boiling over on the stove. I eat that stuff up. I've said this 1,000 times on the podcast. I'll say it 1,000 times more. It's so fun. Like, I don't know. I like it when things are really in my face because I'm like, I think even in my own artistic work, because I like do graphic design and stuff like that, I really like bold colors and sharp lines and just like really bold ideas. And I think when you present that to an audience in the form of a film, oftentimes it's in metaphors that some may see as ham-fisted, which is totally fine. It's like a stylistic thing. And for me, I think I really like that style.
You know what's too on the nose?
What?
Don't Look Up.
Yeah. Don't Look Up is stupid.
That is fair.
It's possible. It's possible to do. I think it's. You have to like be clear without treating your audience like they're dumb. Like I don't think Ponyo treats the audience like they're stupid, which is what separates it from stuff like Don't Look Up, which to me does treat the audience like it's stupid. Like
it's not on the nose. It's just. It doesn't respect the audience. And also, its metaphor doesn't even make sense. Like, that's the other problem with that movie. But I don't want any hatred in this episode.
No, this is a episode of love.
This is an episode of love.
You know what I realized about halfway through Ponyo that completely, like, shook me and my world and made me have a new love for some of the Ghibli films? A lot of them are doing a magical realism.
Yes.
And that, I was like, go off, King. For those who don't know, magical realism is a genre that's having a little bit of a renaissance right now. But I get a little bit weird because a lot of people are calling things that, like, in my opinion, aren't in that genre. They're like saying that it is. They're like, Turning Red is magical realism. And I'm like, is it? I don't.
Oh no, that's stupid. Who says that?
Well, yeah, I'm like, I don't know that it is. But I'm also at the same time realizing that a lot of the Ghibli films like Ponyo and Totoro are magical realism also made me realize that like maybe it's kind of stupid to argue over what counts as a genre and what doesn't. Like at some point those debates become a little bit futile. But magical realism is a genre that I think was sort of made popular by the likes of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, a lot of roots in Latin America. And it's a genre that's defined by, I like to summarize it as extraordinary things treated ordinarily. It's
beautiful.
like magic things happen in the real world and they're treated very kind of mundanely. Like the canonical example is Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude, and like I said, it's sort of very popular in South America, but there's also a strong lineage of the genre in Japan with authors like Haruki Murakami and Banana Yoshimoto, and films like Night is Short, Walk on Girl, and also Studio Ghibli. Like
oh
you,
my god,
that's a isn't we got to watch that one at some point. I love
Yeah.
that movie. But Ponyo, it's like magical things are happening, but they're not happening in a fantasy world like Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away. They're happening in the real world. Like it's all very grounded in regular life. And you'll also notice that the characters aren't particularly like shocked by the magical things. Like they're sort of taken as like it's sort of assumed that it's real. It's like the grannies are like, "Oh yeah, fish spirit." Like, "Yep, that yep." You know, that's
Mhm.
normal.
Mhm.
And it's that sense of mundanity that I really love. And you can use it to do a lot of cool things. Like it sort of opens the door to having these fantastical, fish wave monster allegories for tsunamis and stuff that just isn't as possible in regular magic, and it's also less applicable to our real life as in full on magic, right? Like it's you get the best of the fantasy and the realism, and Ponyo made me very, very happy with that. Not all Ghibli fits into that, obviously. Like Howl's Moving Castle is not realism; it's all magical.
Mhm.
Whereas stuff like I would say like Totoro, Ponyo,
Yeah.
maybe Kiki's Delivery Service, maybe Porco Rosso, but that's like sort of my rant over, and it's really a lovely genre. Like it's such a delight to read because it makes you feel like it brings the magic into everyday life, in a way that's very fun. It's
Yeah,
a
that's
more
perfect.
ordinary kind of magic, which I find a lot more suitable than like we're in the far off kingdom of Fantasia and the evil wizard rules the land, and right, it's like that's harder for me to get into.
Except Princess Mononoke is your favorite Ghibli film.
Except Prince,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's I mean even then it's like it's very grounded. Like it's
Yeah.
a fantasy universe, but it's not like grandiose.
It comes down to grounding. I mean, you're right. Like whatever universe you're creating has to feel like it's lived in and it's real. And the most successful movies and books and films and games that do this. I said movies and films like they're two different things. One's Kino.
Well, yeah, one is
Uh,
Kino. Ask Scorsese what he thinks.
Yes.
Mhm.
But the thing that ties them all together when you see a good one is that it immerses you in the world and makes you feel like it's real and like you're living in it. And magical realism does a really cool job at doing that because it lets the author break the rules and create their own universe while still making you feel like there's some semblance of logic or a grounding. And it really works for Ghibli as well because it has the additional narrative effect of supporting the idea that kids are more creative and imaginative than we are. And can
Yeah.
see things that we can't. Like that's my favorite overarching theme with a bunch of Ghibli films is that like childhood is when you are the most creative and the most loving and the most in tune with life. And you don't want to lose that as you grow up. And you want to maintain that whimsy. And that's something that I hope to
Yeah.
do personally and something that I love that Ghibli keeps on emphasizing in every single one of its films. But yeah, just a little note about magical realism. If you want to play a great magical realist game, play Kentucky Route Zero.
Mhm.
That is all. Just
Gotta
look it
drop
up.
it.
If you love the genre, all I'm saying, do it.
That's a strong message.
Guys,
Ah.
I'm happy right now. I feel relaxed.
You feel
We
good?
always feel happy after.
Well,
I feel
it's
good too.
yeah, like Ghibli has this incredible quality of just calming me. Like one of the coolest things that I think this movie does is the way that it portrays the flooded village after the tsunami hits.
Oh yeah.
Where the
Mhm.
water is entirely clear, there's no debris anywhere. Like it's not like real life at all, right?
That's
like
good stuff.
if this was real life, it would be cloudy and messy and awful. But
Yeah.
Ghibli decides to treat a tsunami as a chance to reflect on the beauty of like nature and humanity intertwining, and like seeing fish almost like float through the skies of different areas. Like weirdly, I keep bringing up weird childhood things. I think this is a is a point that Ghibli tries to make with its movies, that it tries to get you to dredge up really fun memories of when you were a kid. When I was like 7, I went to the MoMA, and at the MoMA, I like saw the reflection of trees in a pond, and I wanted to paint a picture of a goldfish swimming through a redwood forest. And like,
that's Ponyo vibes for sure.
It's Ponyo, and this is before I had seen Ponyo. And like, the fact that this movie was able to take that little thing that I thought of as a child and so perfectly capture it in animation, like, that's why I love it, is because this movie is so in tune with children. Even the dialogue that you hear, like when Ponyo goes up to the candle, she doesn't say like, ouch, that's hot. She says, my nose is getting hot, which is exactly what a kid would say. They would say some weird thing that like is almost correct, but not really.
Yes,
hyper-specific.
Yes, yeah.
And it just is so in tune with children. And it's some of the best character writing that I've seen in any film. And it is not exclusive to Ponyo. It's, you know, across all their films that they have children in it. But, you know, those are some of the things that I love about Ponyo.
You know what I gotta say?
What do you have to say?
That mom is terrible at driving. That is the most irresponsible driving I've ever seen. She's like spinning around, going around the mountain roads. It's like, whoa, buckle up. Yeah, it was crazy. The sound design in this movie is also so, like, it's like ASMR, man.
Thank you for reminding me.
The sound of like the water running over the rocks, and like just simple things of Sosuke filling up a bucket with water has never felt so good, right? This movie made me want to like get in the pool. It was
yes,
feel like the cool, clean water. Just, oh my gosh, this movie, it really is a nice Sunday movie. Like,
yes,
it's big Sunday vibes coming from Ponyo.
Oh, so right. All of their movies have the vibes of a specific like weekday or season.
Fair. That's an excellent take.
Like Totoro, the best fall movie ever. Guys, I have the best
Totoro fall movie?
Yes. What?
Totoro to me is like
You're
early
summer or spring?
Like June.
Yeah, I would say spring. They do a whole bunch of like.
Okay. No. Why fall? Explain your fall reasoning.
Okay. So you guys are right. The movie takes place, I think, like around spring or summer. Like it's very bright. The thing that movie does is that it has a lot of wind in it. And because we are not in Japan, the time that we get a lot of wind in California is around the fall and like also, I guess, early spring a little bit. But like a lot of the times, fall is when we get to see wind and rain and things like that actually happen.
True.
So to me, that's the time of the year that it connotes is when the wind is roaring and when the trees are rustling. I remember that as being fall in my mind, and that's the thing that I take away from Totoro as being its like most prominent nature thing.
Fair.
That's fair.
I think, to me, Totoro is like an early June, late May kind of day.
Yeah, that's fair.
Specifically with like a little breeze. There's a little breeze going on. Wind is important to Totoro. You're correct in the vibes assertion there. I'm trying to think of a fall Ghibli. Spirited Away has more fall vibes to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of fall colors.
Yes, Spirited Away is a great Halloween movie in my mind.
Yes, yeah.
I love compiling like lists of season media. Like I have a like an October book. Like something wicked this way comes is my October book. I love things like that, where it's like, this is best enjoyed at this time of year. It feels like like old timey sort of, you know, like, yes, oh, and you gotta watch this movie in the May for best results.
Oh, there is one piece of seasoned media that stands above the rest, and that is Over the Garden Wall.
Oh,
have you guys seen
true.
This?
Yes, absolutely. That's like
Kasey?
a fall for
I
sure.
have not seen it.
Okay, you cannot watch it until October.
Okay, I will put a reminder in my phone.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But once it hits October, Kasey, and you watch Over the Garden Wall, you have to watch it all in one sitting in a little bit of the dark, and preferably with a group of friends.
Okay.
It is a magical experience.
Yes.
He's right.
I'm looking, okay, I'll look forward to it. Something to look forward to.
Adjust our Socratic. Like, we've been kind of sticking to like, let's do new releases. I think we should just go with the seasons. We
Yeah.
our movie watching schedule should be determined by the weather. We could do a summer of Ghibli, and also throw in other summery film. Luca again. I don't. That's a very summer
watches
one
Luca
to me.
again.
Gotta watch Judy Moody and the Not Bummer Summer. That's another form.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Kasey?
Yes, I do. I do know what you're talking about.
Yes, and she has that little brother who's like obsessed with Bigfoot.
I read the books.
All right, I'm looking up Judy Moody
and the Not Bummer Summer.
Okay, I'm gonna type really loudly
because you will get the entire book series.
Yeah, that movie goes crazy too. Or like Spiderwick is summer. Bridge to Terabithia.
Tears.
Oh yeah.
Y'all finna have me.
What? I've never read Bridge to Terabithia.
Really?
It's a little sad.
I had to read it in 4th grade.
That's young.
Yeah, it explains a lot, doesn't it?
Do you have any?
I had to read Where the Red Fern Grows. That was my sad.
Yikers!
That's a sad one too. Yeah, we should do.
And
a
you forgot
dog
about
month.
the casual racism in it too.
Oh yeah, no, we don't necessarily forget.
Geez, Charlie, I think that says a lot more about you.
Yeah.
Yikes!
There's some casual racism sprinkled in there. No biggie.
You'll have to drop us an email.
I completely forgot about it because I brought it up. You're right.
I like it. Yeah, we just accused you. No, but you'll have to shoot us an email with your anyone listening if you have like a specific movie that demands to be watched in a specific month. Let us know so we can put together dude. I want to make like a movie a week calendar that has like it's like calculated the best time to watch these, Yeah.
Can we sell that on Socratic Cinema?
SocraticCinema.com merch, the movie a week calendar. Yeah, help us put it together.
Like like the anime poster where you're like, for each one that you watch, you like, what's it with like the coin? You scratch it off.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool.
It's similar but different.
Yeah,
this is
a movie
because it's us and not them.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think we should pursue that one.
Is similar but different?
What a broad segue. This could be anything.
Ponyo. It is similar to other Ghibli movies, but it's also different.
Oh, really? Explain.
Well, this is a different segue to a different thing.
Okay.
Do you guys remember how before we started this podcast, we were talking about the English voice dubs for these sorts of movies? Can I just say the Ponyo English voice dub cast is nutty buddy. And that's a phrase that I've coined as of 5 seconds ago.
Buddy.
Nutty buddy. Yeah.
We can make a shirt with that on it.
We could. Matt Damon, Koichi. Crazy. I didn't even notice. And this is our second week with Matt Damon in a row. You know what that means? If there's a third week, we all die. So we can't watch
He shows up in our room at night.
Yes. And stabs us through the throat with a knife.
Well, first he dyes our hair blonde forcibly.
Yeah. Well,
and then he stabs us in our sleep. But Matt Damon was Koichi. Liam Neeson as C Dad.
That's such amazing casting.
Yeah. Love that.
Which is, I loved him. He's so weird. His character introduction onto the land is one of my favorite things, where he's got the
spritzer.
He's got the pump. Yeah,
give it to me.
And he's like, I'm gonna dry out.
Right. It humidifies
I'm gonna dry out. It humidifies me.
Yeah, Liam Neeson. Yeah, it is. It's also a very inefficient system to walk on the water. Like I don't think it's doing.
Do you think the soles of his shoes like absorb it?
Maybe.
Also, no. Liam Neeson's daughters just stay getting taken, huh?
True, actually. Hold on.
Excellent take.
Incredible take. They do be getting taken. He needs to stop being in movies with girls, otherwise they're just gonna keep getting stolen.
Like stop taking on paternal roles, Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
just focus on yourself.
It's also the second week in a row that we've had not only Matt Damon, but Matt Damon with a strained relationship with his wife.
Oh,
LOL. Laugh out loud.
Laugh out loud.
Oh, Matt Damon.
And if there's a third week where that happens, we all get a preemptive divorce.
Sign the prenup. Yep.
Wow. No prenup. No, you lose everything.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's why you got to be careful. You can't watch 3 Matt Damon movies in a row.
Exactly.
Hey, The Martian next week?
No.
I don't want a curse to befall my family. Thank you.
And
My
your
crops.
lineage.
My lineage ends with you.
More people. I'm not done yet because this list keeps going. Betty White, R.I.P. as Yoshi.
Love.
My favorite green dinosaur.
Good one.
Yeah, glad we all laughed at my joke.
Oh, sorry.
God, yeah. Screw both of you. Noah Cyrus as Ponyo. I really hate the voice of Ponyo. Not that I hate Noah Cyrus. It's just they told her to act like this, probably. It's just so shrill and annoying, but that's how kids sound, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It is how kids sound. That's true.
Yeah, God. Kate Blanchett as Grandma Mari.
I did see that, yeah.
Don't know if I pronounced that remotely right.
Kate Blanchett.
Wait, do you remember Ponyo's like birth name that the dad said?
Broom Hilda.
Yeah,
Hilda.
again.
Imagine if this movie was...
Don't name your daughters.
Imagine if this movie was called Brumhilda.
It'd be fire.
It would not be nearly as popular. It's like, what's your favorite Ghibli movie? Oh, Brumhilda. What?
Okay, does
casual.
Ponyo mean anything? Is like Ponyo like goldfish in Japanese or something?
I don't know. It's super cute is what it is.
It's very adorable.
And I love it. That's what
does Ponyo mean?
Tina Fey as Lisa, and then my boy Frankie Jonas as my boy in the movie.
Frankie Jonas.
I love.
So never mind.
So they just made it up?
I don't know.
Hey man, Miyazaki dudes.
Oh, okay. It's because Miyazaki to him, the word Ponyo apparently is like, it's like an onomatopoeia kind of thing that like the word Ponyo feels like it's a soft and squishy word,
Wow.
All right.
I wish I was creative enough to come up with a word. I envy people that can do that. Like genuinely. Like,
I mean, he's not wrong though. Like Ponyo is a very soft. Right. It's a very soft word.
That's why I envy it so much. Like being able to just come up with a sound that connotes something like intrinsically.
Ooh. Wait, I have a sound.
So good. Yeah.
I have a sound that connotes like the desire to spread the word about something.
Oh, what could it be?
What could this be?
It's spiel.
Yeah. Spiel. Interesting.
I think it fits really well. Yeah. It's like for example, like if you were to spiel, it'd be like kind of. Hold on, I'm like trying to think. It'd be like,
yeah, give us an example.
It'd be sort of like thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Socratic Cinema Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast service, feel free to leave us a review to let us know how you like the show, what we can do better, and just say hi. If you feel like supporting the show monetarily and want to join the list of brave patrons that we mentioned earlier in the episode, you can do so by becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. Benefits include all sorts of fun stuff like monthly newsletters, access to episodes early, getting questions read out on the episodes for us to answer. It's a good time. The patrons, we have a lot of fun. So if you want to join the Cool Kids Club, you could do so at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. You can also keep up with what we're doing on social media on Instagram at Socratic_cinema and Twitter at Cinema Socratic. It's a great way to connect and keep up with our goings on. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with your friends, tell them all about it, and let us know in the comments which Ghiblinity stone we should track down next. No promises on how long it'll take. These bad boys. These Ghiblinity stones, man, they'd be a little hard to track down. Never mind the fact that they're all on HBO Max. Just let us know which one you want to see next. And thanks for joining us on our little Ponyo adventure. So a spiel would be something like that.
Gotcha.
That was a great example.
Yeah, it was such a good example. It sounded pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You are so practiced at spieling that it sounds like a robot is saying it. I'm impressed.
I'm not sure. Is that your way of saying my internet lagged out?
No, it's me giving you a compliment.
Why
don't you take it instead of being a jerk?
Charlie? I don't know when I started becoming the spiel guy, but it's like I didn't choose the spiel life. The spiel life chose me,
You sound like an entrepreneur. right now.
Yeah,
That's what an
I'm
entrepreneur
gonna
would say.
join Cutco. I'm gonna start selling knives.
Okay.
Oh wow. You know, and you know what we should say? Adios.